in Panama. Protests lead to tear gas and then panic. If it ain't broke, they allegedly fix it anyway. A major car repair chain accused of ripping off customers. And the money crunch. Tonight, let the buyer beware. Higher car prices are on the way. This is the CBS Evening News. Good evening. Dan Rather reporting. A high-risk election year presidential trip got off to a shaky start today. President Bush had to cancel the set-piece event of his visit to Panama and make a quick exit when security forces clashed with nearby protesters. There was tear gas and panic. Susan Spencer reports from Panama City.
The welcome had been warm, the president sticking to his decision not to change his schedule, when suddenly, from an area about 150 yards from the park where he was to speak, a small crowd of anti-American protesters got ugly. They hurled rocks and bottles. Gunfire broke out a few blocks away. Edgy Panamanian riot troops didn't wait for more. Tear gas by the canister made its way to the podium where Secret Service agents calmly ushered a pale President and Mrs. Bush off the stage. And then, guns drawn, made sure they were safely whisked away to the security of Albrook Air Force Base. Until the trouble, the crowds had been very friendly, waving American flags along the route. But anti-American demonstrators who accused the U.S. of not adequately compensating Panama for damage done during the '89 invasion had stepped up their protests all week. Speaking at the air base, Mr. Bush was clearly angry.
And no tiny little left-wing demonstration is going to set your democracy back.
But he said the experience had only strengthened his faith in Panama.
Democracy doesn't come easy. But I could sense in that crowd today and amongst the leaders today the determination to perfect and see Panama's democracy come to total fulfillment.
Mr. Bush is safely on his way to Rio now. He apparently never was in any real danger. But this is clearly not the way the White House envisioned the first foreign trip of the '92 campaign. And it may very well raise questions as to the wisdom of continuing with such a public schedule in light of the recent anti-American protests here. Susan Spencer, CBS News, Panama City.
Mr. Bush will be joining other world leaders in Rio for the Earth Summit, and there was trouble there as well today. UN security forces broke up a sit-in by an international group of students. They called the conference a farce, blaming President Bush and the United States for blocking strong measures on global warming and endangered species. The largest chain of car repair shops in the United States could lose its license to operate, at least in California. It's the chain run by Sears. As Ron Allen reports, California officials say Sears was running a ripoff with phony car repairs.
There's a saying, you can count on Sears. I'm here to tell you, in auto repair, you cannot.
State consumer protection officials want to shut down all the automotive repair giants' California garages. Undercover agents say during an 18-month investigation, Sears frequently performed unneeded repairs and overcharged by an average of more than $200. Investigators say they also were charged for work that was never done, and in some cases actually got their cars back in worse or unsafe condition.
They were systematically looting the public. I don't know how far it goes, but let me put it this way. I do not think it stops at state lines.
Sears runs more than 800 repair shops, the nation's largest chain. And after today's news, their slogan might need an overhaul. Do you still trust Sears?
Maybe just a little less than I did before I read the article.
I trust Sears because I've been a Sears customer for years, and they have guarantees.
The investigation began after consumer complaints increased by some 50%. And officials say that happened when Sears started paying many automotive employees based on commissions and sales quotas. That practice is nationwide. In California, investigators say Sears employees under pressure to sell a certain amount of repair work use scare tactics on unwitting customers. Sears categorically denies that and plans a vigorous fight to save its reputation as the place where America shops.
This is one of the largest, oldest, and most trusted retail institutions in this country, whose franchise for dealing with the consumer is the trust that they have created in that relationship.
But investigators insist they carefully check Sears' work by marking and photographing parts on their undercover cars. And they say Sears sold agents unnecessary parts and service 90% of the time. Ron Allen, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And charges of another ripoff of the public today. The government now says leading makers of infant formula are cheating on a program meant to help the children of the poor. Roberta Baskin has been investigating that.
Mothers, infants, and milk. It doesn't sound like a formula for controversy, but today the Federal Trade Commission charged America's big three baby formula companies with cheating American moms. A 2-year investigation by the FTC charges bid rigging in the special food supplement program for women, infants, and children known as WIC. It adds up to inflated prices for babies' milk.
Anti-competitive behavior in this industry is particularly harmful. Higher prices caused by illegal conduct deprive babies of a major and sometimes their only source of nutrition.
The WIC program accounts for more than 1/3 of all baby formula sales. Abbott Labs makes Similac, Mead Johnson Enfamil, and American Home Products Nursoy. Among them, they control a hefty 90% of the infant formula business. The complaint over bidding practices singles out the WIC program in Puerto Rico, but is believed to be more widespread.
The price is just too much.
The FTC has negotiated a settlement with Mead Johnson and American Home Products. The two companies are agreeing to give the WIC program powdered infant formula worth $25 million wholesale. Abbott Labs is refusing to settle, so the FTC is taking them to court. All three infant formula companies say they did nothing wrong.
We absolutely and unequivocally deny that even these lesser allegations in the FTC's complaint. We never have, we never will knowingly violate the law.
Senator Howard Metzenbaum has been advocating a crackdown on the baby formula business.
It's almost impossible to figure out what the cost has been, but the impact upon the American consumer, and particularly poor women needing infant formula to feed their children, has just been an abomination.
The makers of baby formula have long been under fire for pushing use of their products instead of mother's milk, but they've been able to maintain a successful $1.5 billion market. According to the FTC's charges, this could be one of the reasons why. Dan?
Roberta, is this the first action of its kind?
Well, actually, just last year, the Florida Attorney General also took action against the major baby formula makers. So this is an echo of that, and there have been rumblings at some other states.
Roberta Baskin, thanks. Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News. Get ready for more sticker shock. Why new car prices are expected to go up in the fall. And Eye on the Earth. Tonight, smog. Clearly, it's still a major problem. Inflation made a bit of a comeback last month. The government says wholesale prices shot up 0.4%, biggest jump in 19 months. Rising gasoline prices led the way. On the other hand, retail sales, a key to any economic recovery, rose just 0.2%. If you're in the market for a new car, you may want to buy one sooner rather than later. Ray Brady tells you why in tonight's report on the money crunch, making it in America.
Sure, it's fun to poke around those dealer showrooms, but if you're thinking about buying, you ought to know that some car analysts are saying prices could shoot up this fall, way up.
New car prices will rise in the fall by an average of $600 to $700, and in some cases by as much as $1,000.
You think that's sticker shock? Listen to this.
Expensive cars like Lexus and Infiniti could rise in price by as much as $2,000 this fall.
The prices of both Japanese and American cars have been racing along a one-way street, straight up. The average price of a car purchased in the United States is now $17,000.
I don't think they'll sell if they raise the prices in the fall.
Maybe not, but American automakers, contacted by CBS News, argue their price increases have been modest. For Japanese automakers, though, fewer people at home are buying cars. Plus, they're under pressure here to slow up their sales. Two prime reasons for the Japanese to raise prices still higher. Any car dealer can tell you what that means.
Traditionally, what has happened is when the Japanese have raised car prices, the American manufacturers have taken the opportunity to increase their prices also.
Detroit's got another card up its sleeve, and it's your automobile. The average age for cars on the road now is 7.8 years. They're close to becoming clunkers, close to rolling that last mile to the junkyard. And that will mean more demand for new cars, and once again, prices could go up.
Prices won't get better than this for a long time, maybe as much as 4 or 5 years until the next recession.
The Japanese automakers have already raised prices 3% this spring, and they could go up another 1% this summer. So this could be the time to stop poking around those showrooms and start getting serious. Ray Brady, CBS News, The Money Crunch.
Stick here with us for more CBS News, including Dan Quayle, out front again today, attacking on the campaign trail. We'll tell you what's behind it.
I am not going to back down, and I am not going to apologize for talking about values in this great country of ours.